Hello, it's Professor Plyman. Welcome back to Business and Technical Writing. Today we're going to talk about conducting quality research. So let's start with the research process. In academic research, your goal is always to find information that will help you answer a scholarly question. And because of that, you're usually looking at peer-reviewed and scholarly sources. But in the workplace research, your goal is going to be to find information that will help you answer a practical question, usually one that involves the organization for which you work. So the types of sources that you're going to use may be vastly different, but basic research methods are the same. So let's talk about the research process. And I know that you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but it's going to start with analyzing your audience. Who are you doing this research for? Who are you sharing this information with? What beliefs or thoughts or opinions are they going to have about this topic? And how are you going to approach that? And then think about your purpose, right? This is why you're doing this research, what information you hope to find, and what you plan to do with that information. And then analyze your subject. This is where you stop and you think about how much do I already know about this? Where can I find more information? What is my level of expertise here? And how can I communicate information about this topic? Then you're going to consider the document type. This is where you think about how you can best relay the information that you have found. If this is a big project, you might need to work out a schedule and budget for this research process, and then determine what information will need to be a part of the document that you're creating, determine what information you are still going to need to acquire, and lastly, create questions that you will need to answer in your document. So let's talk about choosing appropriate research methods. I have some questions here that you might ask yourself to help focus your research or help you find the information that you're looking for. So the first one up here is, what is the theory behind this process or technique? Basically, the idea is, why are things done this way? Does it work? Why do we do it this way? What's the history of how we started to do it this way? And then that leads to, what's the history of this phenomenon? Has it always been done this way? Have we made changes? Were those changes beneficial? What is going on now? What techniques are being used to solve this problem? If you look at something, especially something that changes frequently, like technology or medicine, a lot of the times the techniques that are being used to solve a problem are not the same techniques that were used to solve that problem 5, 10, 15 years ago. So look at what's being used now, and is the current situation expected to change? Are you finding a forever solution or a right in this moment solution? What products are available to perform a task or to provide a service, and has that changed recently, and is that going to change recently? We're making huge leaps in technology right now, and a lot of times things that used to be done by people are now done by computers or machines. Is that going to happen with whatever it is that you're researching? And then, what are the strengths and weaknesses of competing products and services? So there's a lot of talk about like ChatGPT right now. And maybe, you are going to let go of somebody in your customer service department because you think that a ChatGPT can do the job. How does it work? How does it not work? They actually did this in a call center, like a counseling call center. They let go of some staff because they thought, hey, we can create these chat bots that can do the same job for free since you don't have to pay computers. And it ended up being a terrible experience. Turns out people's emotions are not what you want to, conduct a science experiment on. So look at the strengths and weaknesses of the competing products and services and really ask, is this going to work? What is going to work best? What's the best solution for my company or organization? There, there are also some things that you want to consider in terms of like what products are available, what product or service do experts recommend, and are you going to take their advice? And what do stakeholders think about a current or proposed product or service? So what's happening here, and what do certain opinions of people have to do with who we are going with and what companies or products we are using? You also want to think about what are the facts about how we do our jobs at this company. You will come across companies where they encourage everybody to work very independently. You will come across companies where they encourage everybody to work very collaboratively. Who is doing this job? Are they working with a team? Are they working individually? Do you have one person who's doing multiple jobs? What's happening here? So that's definitely something that you want to think about. You also want to think about what can we learn about what caused this problem in our organization. If a problem has an identifiable cause, maybe that's something that you want to figure out how to prevent in the future. What do our personnel think about what we should do about this situation? A lot of times companies will have a problem and they're looking for a way to solve it. And one of the things that they should always do is go to their employees and ask, how do you think we should solve this problem? A lot of times the people working in an organization have really great ideas and can really offer solid advice on how to improve things. And then the last one I have up here is how well would this product or service work in our organization? So if you think you have an idea about how to solve a problem, that is when you would begin researching a topic. So there's a couple of things that you want to do. Conduct primary research. Go to the source. If you're looking at a specific product, go to the company that makes it. See how they make it. See what they do with it. See how they use it. Go to the source. Then you can conduct secondary research. Go to other companies that use that same product and see what their experience has been. Be persistent. Don't leave any stone unturned. Make sure that you're looking at everything. And then evaluate your information. Is there any bias in there that you need to be aware of? What did you really learn? And then record your data carefully. Triangulate your research methods. Make sure you're not getting information from just one source, but you're seeking out information from multiple sources. And then when you've done all this, do some more research, because there's always a little bit more to learn. Pretty much any time a company or an organization is really struggling, there's always this moment where they can pinpoint, if I had just known more about whatever, then I would have made a different choice. So make sure that you are doing your job and you're being persistent and consistent in doing your research. So let's talk about some techniques of primary research. You can look at social media data. This is a big thing in our culture and society right now, because so many people interact with companies and organizations via social media. Look at observations and demonstrations. Look at inspections. Say you're trying to decide whether or not you want to invest in a restaurant. Pull up the health inspector's reports. You can do science experiments or experiments. Get a couple of different competing products and see which one works better. Go out and do field research. See what competing companies are doing, or sometimes even like sister organizations. Conduct interviews. Who has used this product or service? Who has previously solved this problem? What insight or information do they have to offer you? Inquiries and questionnaires are kind of similar, but a lot of times the more pieces of information we can get, the bigger picture we can see. Then there are basic research tools. You have library catalogs and online databases. There are newspapers and periodical indexes, abstract services. There are actually sites and services where they read peer-reviewed sources like all the abstracts and can help find you what you're looking for. Web search engines, reference works, those types of things. You can also look at books, journals and magazines, especially if there's like a trade magazine specific to your industry, newspapers and online news, government data, websites, and social media. So now let's talk about different forms of social media that you may come into contact with. So there are discussion forums. This is where people can chat with each other about products, services, ideas, you name it. There's also wikis, which are kind of like online encyclopedias created by people that give information about particular topics. Blogs is where one person gives information about lots of different topics, or sometimes it's run by an organization instead of a purpose. Then you have tagged content. These are things like Instagram, Google searches, where you're going to search for a particular word and it will pull up everything that is tagged with that word. And then below that, RSS feeds are targeted feeds that are delivered straight to you. So for example, when you open up your social media app, or you open up Yahoo News, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when I open up Yahoo News and you open up Yahoo News, it may not be the exact same articles there because those feeds are targeted for what the sites think you want to see or I want to see. So, for example, me and my best friend can have all of the same mutuals on social media, but when I pull up my social media, it may look different than theirs. But wherever you're getting your information from, you want to make sure that you're looking for information that is accurate, unbiased, comprehensive, meaning it tells the whole story, appropriately technical, meaning if it's written for the general public, it doesn't use too much jargon or technical language, but if it's written for somebody in a technical industry, it does use the appropriate jargon. You also want to make sure that you're looking for information that is current and is clear. It should be obvious what the information means. So if you find a source of information and you think, okay, this looks good, I can probably use this in my research, there are some things that you can do to evaluate that source. First thing I want you to look at is who wrote it, who is the author, what do they have to gain from sharing this information? Who is the publisher? Who paid to get this information out into the world? What's the breadth of knowledge covered in the literature? Is this a very basic understanding of something? Is this a more deeper understanding of something? What is going on in the literature? Look at accuracy and the verifiability of the information. So for example, if you're reading a medical journal and it's discussing a new medical technique, it should tell you precisely what experiments they conducted, what trials and tests they ran, other sources that can verify this information. And then the last thing up here is timeliness. And this is going to vary depending on what topic it is that you're looking at. So for example, something in technology probably needs to be pretty recent, otherwise there's probably other technology that has already outdated that. If you have questions over doing research, feel free to reach out to me. I am always happy to help.